What's up? This is your boy KC. Raw is 3 fucking hours. You expect us to sit through half of a roster for 3 hours? You know what grinds my gears, man? What the hell? Pokemon. This Pokemon Go app that everybody is into is making people lose their minds, making people stupid. As I said before, I am a big guy, and it's not funny having your ass sucked into a chair like a vacuum. It's that time of the week again. Time for another top 10. Anime otakus, it's that time again. Video game portion of my show. Jarek. This guy is a straight up Kano clone. He has all of Kano's moves. Dragon Ball debunked. People who pretend to be nice. That in front of people, they're smiling it up. Hello, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. The wrestling match of the week. The game of the week, is it worth it? The anime of the week, is time to talk about some more Dragon Ball Super. Like, comment, and subscribe. What's up? It's your boy KC. How y'all doing? Welcome to episode 28 of my podcast show. Let's get this started. Now that Bayley's on the main roster, I've been sitting there thinking of things that they could possibly do with her. Yes, Bayley has always been the bubbly, childish type of character, so it doesn't bother me when she's dancing around with the New Day. That I really don't care, because I expected that. But the only thing that I want to say is I hope that they don't make her a complete comedy figure, because people need to take this girl seriously. They need to know that she's here for the title, just like every other wrestler in the business. And I don't want them to do like they did with Emma, and that's just make Emma a complete joke the first time she came up. What she needs to be doing is they need to take their time building her up, so when she eventually does face the champion, that everybody will take her seriously. So I just hope that they use her right. Still no explanation on why Triple H did what he did, turning on Rollins and costing him the championship. But we do know that Rollins is on his way to being a babyface, and that is good, because this guy has been stale as a heel for a long time, and it's nice to see a change. This is pretty much where he belongs anyways, because with all the high flashy moves that this guy has, it's hard not to cheer for this guy. The only knock on it is that he's associating himself with Roman Reigns, a guy that the fans have not warmed up to yet. They don't like him, and it's pretty much like the John Cena effect. Anybody that associates themselves with John Cena or Roman Reigns in a positive way is not going to be completely accepted by the fans. But other than that, I like the change that they're doing here. And this will all culminate with a match between Triple H and Seth Rollins, maybe at WrestleMania, where Triple H can knock Seth Rollins 6 feet under with his golden sledgehammer. Because we all know what's going to happen. Come on, it's Triple H. Seriously. I really like the fact that Reigns continues to pursue the United States Championship, because it gives that belt a little bit of credibility. I said it before, I think it's good for that belt to have a main eventer of his status with the title instead of having some jobber with the title. I'm not talking about Rusev. He's not a jobber. He's great. The guy's awesome. But I think that maybe Reigns could have something along the lines like Cena had, where he could be a fighting champion, he could have challenges every week, and that belt could be featured prominently on Raw. I want to talk about Apollo Crews. Doesn't it look like this guy has the Bo Dallas syndrome? I mean, this guy has so much momentum, and this guy is a great wrestler. He has moves that he can do that a man his size should not be able to do. The guy's amazing in the ring, yet they're not doing jack shit with this guy. They had him lose clean to The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship, to The Miz. You know, why not put the belt on this guy and give him a little bit of a run, give him a big push? You know what I'm saying? No, we don't want to beat The Miz. The Miz is great. I mean, nobody gives a fuck about him. Seriously, Apollo Crews is not doing anything, and it's a damn shame that they brought him up to the main roster just to let him drown, so to speak. I wish they would do more with this guy. Raw has finally made the new debut of its new Cruiserweights division, and what a way to start. What a great match between Rick Swann, Grand Metalik, Cedric Alexander, and Brian Kendrick for the number one contendership for TJ Perkins' new Cruiserweight Championship. By the way, I like the title. Great design, unique. I love it. It doesn't look like all the other colors of the rainbow like the other titles do. I hope they do more with that. Brian Kendricks pulls out the win, and he's the new number 1 contender, and he will face TJ Perkins this Sunday. The only knock on this whole thing is why would they wait all the way into the 3rd hour of the show to debut the Cruiserweights division? I don't understand that. You go back to Nitro, WCW, the Cruiserweights were always at the beginning of the night to get the fans charged up for the rest of the night, and they bring up the mid-carders and the main events. That's what you're supposed to do. I realize what they were trying to do because they know that 3rd hour is very difficult for people to get through a 3-hour show of Raw every single Monday. And you got a lot of people that are bored, sitting on their hands, changing the channels at home, or just turning the TV off, or even falling asleep. So I see why they did what they did, because they know that people are doing that, and they're giving us this match to say, hey, you need to watch this. But I think it's the wrong move to make. I think the Cruiserweight should be at the beginning of the night. And I'm not the only person to say this, but that 3rd hour is hampering Raw. It really is. It makes it very difficult for people to continue to watch a 3-hour episode of Raw every single Monday. And that's why they did the lowest number of the year last week. And you could blame it on football if you want to, but Raw can be very, very boring a lot of times. I mean, besides Triple H's Reign of Terror from 02 to 04, this has to be probably the most boring period in Monday Night Raw history after the Reign of Terror. So they need to rethink this. I think that they really need to chop off that 3rd hour to make it easier, because SmackDown is only 2. It's an easier show to watch, and that puts it ahead of Raw for me. That right there, that point right there, that SmackDown is shorter, makes it better than Raw. I mean, seriously. I want to address this whole John Cena tying Ric Flairs 16 championship reigns. Seriously, because I see it on Facebook all the time. People are getting pissed off. They're in an uproar. We don't want John Cena to tie with Ric Flair. People, calm down. Ric Flair is not a 16-time World Heavyweight Champion. Ric Flair has held more titles than that. Ric Flair's official title reigns, he's a 9-time NWA champion, 8-time WCW champion, and 2-time WWF champion. That's 19 titles that he held, not counting the unrecognized title changes that he's had in other countries, which actually makes him a 25-time world champion. Calm down. That's why it doesn't bother me, because I know that Ric Flair's held more world titles than what WWF or WWE has picked. That is the number that they picked because they decided not to count his other reigns. So calm down. I don't give a flying crap if John Cena breaks his record. It's bound to happen someday. It's bound to happen. So just calm down and just enjoy wrestling, please. I'm sick of hearing about it. There's your history lesson for today, folks. Very rarely does this happen to where I like both champions on both brands, both Raw and SmackDown. This is a rare occasion for me, because back when we had the brand split back in the day, I enjoyed Brock Lesnar being a champion and Kurt Angle, but I absolutely hated when Triple H was the champion because he bores me to tears. We've been over this. But finally, I can say that for both Raw and SmackDown, we have champions that I could actually enjoy. Kevin Owens is the Universal Champion, and AJ Styles is the WWE World Champion. And it makes perfect sense to me that they would put their biggest title on the best wrestler in the company, because that's what AJ Styles is. This guy turns in match after match after match, and you could argue that they're 5-star, 4-star matches. This guy hasn't had a bad match yet. This guy has had one of the best first years since Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. And you know what I like about this the most? Because this reminds me of Ric Flair when he first came into WWF. He won the 1992 Royal Rumble and became the WWF champion. They put their title on a guy that came from the competition, WCW, NWA, and that's what AJ Styles was. AJ Styles spent most of his career in TNA. He was in ROH, New Japan Wrestling, And he comes over and they strap the rocket to this guy and they push him to the moon. And I love it because it's nice to see someone that's not WWE homegrown talent actually get a chance in the spotlight. And that's why I enjoy a lot of the champions that we have now, like Asuka, Nakamura, Kevin Owens as the Universal Champion, TJ Perkins as the Cruiserweight Champion, because these are all people that came from other promotions that made them into the stars that they are, and they're getting a chance to be the best. And I love it. And Dean Ambrose, I argued, everybody was like he should get a chance to be the champion, and they did that. They gave him a shot. And Dean Ambrose was just not able to get the ball rolling. Maybe he wasn't ready. I don't know. Maybe that's what they felt. Maybe they saw something that we didn't, and it sucks for him. But taking the title off of him and putting it on AJ was the best move that they made all year, because there's nowhere else to go. This guy has done everything else. He beat John Cena clean in the middle of the ring. Not once. He beat him twice. You beat John Cena twice. The biggest star in the company. They have some serious plans for you, and I'm happy. Alright, WWE, I think enough is enough. You guys need to have a talk with Seth Rollins and maybe get him to change a few of his moves, because he keeps hurting people. Seriously, when he busted John Cena's nose, I was like, okay, that was an accident. That can happen to anybody. Then he broke Sting's neck with the two buckle bombs in the corner, and I scratched my head, why does Sting have to take bumps like that as old as he was? And now Finn Balor is on his shelf from a powerbomb to the barricade on the outside. Now, it's alright to do that kind of stuff in the ring if you're protected, but you can have a whiplash effect and people can get hurt from that. Now, I don't want to ban moves, because I don't like banning moves like Solid Monster said. Banning moves is just ridiculous. You have to know how to take the move, and you have to know how to perform it to make it work. But if he keeps hurting people, you have to say something, because come on, that's 3 different guys. Sting can't wrestle anymore. We'll come back to that later. John Cena's face got fucked up, and the ladies wasn't happy about that one, because like, oh my god, his face, look at his nose, so. And Finn Balor's reign as the Universal Champion was cut short, and they ignore this guy. He's the first Universal Champion, and they keep ignoring him, and I feel bad for him because of that, because it wasn't his fault why he got hurt. So I just wish that you guys would say something to this dude. Maybe y'all could figure out different moves that he can do. As for Sting, I want to talk about that because we haven't heard from him since he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. As we all know, he was diagnosed with spinal stenosis, and he was not able to wrestle anymore. But Sting, rumor has it, Sting refuses to retire, and he feels that he can have one more match, because this guy really wants to have a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I mean, that was the first thing that he thought of when he came to WWE. He wanted to wrestle The Undertaker, and that's what it should have been. Him against Taker, instead of him against Triple H, where he got beat for no damn reason just to stick it to WCW again, even though WCW has been dead since 2001. It was no reason for Triple H to beat him. Anyways, I talked about that. But Sting is hell-bent on having a match with The Undertaker before both of them retire. And you know what? If he can go, if they can do the match, it would be a nice little send-off for both of them, because I think that this is the only thing that both of them have left to do. Undertaker has done it all, and Sting has done it all. Wouldn't it be probably the best ending that they could both have than for those two careers that have paralleled each other for so many years to finally come to an end in one final match at WrestleMania, the biggest stage of all? I'm down with that, but I hope that Sting knows what he's doing, because I don't want to see this guy end up in a wheelchair or worse. The match of the week is from July 25th, 1999 at the Fully Loaded pay-per-view. Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF Championship and a first blood match. Right in the middle of the Austin McMahon feud, we had a lot riding on this match. Stone Cold, who was the WWF champion at the time, was told that if he lost the title, he would never ever again be able to compete for it as long as Undertaker was the champion. And if Undertaker lost, Vince McMahon would relinquish his power of the WWF and step down. Austin was already going into this match with a disadvantage because he was busted open by The Undertaker with the championship a week before, but Austin got even this match as he attacked The Undertaker and busted him open, and Undertaker's head had to be stapled up, so they both had the disadvantage going into this match. Action right out the gate. Austin didn't even get to the ring before Undertaker was there to meet him. Undertaker threw everything at Austin. He tried everything he could to bust Austin open, landing in those right punches, trying to hit Austin in the head with the chair, the steel steps, to no avail. He finally gets Austin down and he has a steel chair. He's about ready to hit Austin in the head when X-Pac comes down for the save. He spin kicks the chair into the Undertaker's face and Undertaker still doesn't bleed. Austin gets the video camera from the cameraman and he busts Undertaker aside the head, and that made the Undertaker bleed. He goes to get Austin in the tombstone when Earl Hebner sees the blood on his face and calls for the bell. And this is where the funny part happens. After Earl Hebner calls for the bell, Undertaker decks him out. Vince McMahon hops up and he hobbles towards the ring with a crutch, and you remember he's hurt because on the episode of Raw right after the Breakdown pay-per-view where Steve Austin lost the championship after Kane and Undertaker both cover Austin, and the title is now vacant, so Steve Austin wants revenge. He drives a Zamboni down to the ring, does a flying clothesline on the Vince McMahon and beats him up, and he's taken away in handcuffs. And Vince McMahon gets mad and he's screaming at the Undertaker and Kane, and I never forget the classic line that Undertaker said to him, probably the coolest line he ever said. He said, "You need to watch your ass, because the next time you get out of line with either one of us, you're going to be the one handicapped." And that was freaking awesome. And then Vince McMahon flicks off both of them. Undertaker spins around and they beat the hell out of Vince McMahon. And they break his ankle with the steel steps. So that's why he's still injured there with the crutch. He gets into the ring and he eats a Stone Cold Stunner. And the big boss man comes down and Vinnie Jones comes down and kicks him in the stomach. Steve Austin gives the boss man a stunner. And Earl Hebner is kicking the boss man out of the ring and flicking the guy off Stone Cold style. If Earl Hebner is not the coolest referee I've ever seen in my life, I don't know who is. This match was a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed it. If you're looking for a technical wrestling match, this is not it. This is just two brawlers beating the hell out of each other because they hate each other. This match is definitely a must watch. And that is the match of the week, Undertaker vs. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Fully Loaded, 1999. Time for the video game portion of my show. The game of the week is Ghostbusters from PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It came out June 16, 2009, and as far as I'm concerned, this is the official third movie because it's way better than that piece of shit we just got this year. All the actors reprised their roles: Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson. You take control of a no-name rookie that gets to interact with all the Ghostbusters, go on different missions to fight some very familiar ghosts. It's a hell of a lot of fun. They recreated a lot of the classic scenes from the first Ghostbusters as you go to the library and you destroy the hotel when you fight Slimer. You do fight him again, and it's a lot of fun to hear all the voices, all the familiar voices from the movies and stuff. If you have not played this game, go back and play it. Trust me, you will love it. 2 thumbs up. The FM TOWNS Marty had potential. What is the system that I'm talking about? Let's go back in history. First off, the FM stands for Fujitsu Micro. It was a computer, kind of like the Apple computer that came out February 28, 1989, and it ran all the way until the late summer 1997. It ran on Windows 95, so from the success of this computer, they wanted to try to throw their hat in the ring and try to create a console that could compete with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. There goes the FM TOWNS Marty. It was released February 20th, 1993, and it ran all the way until 1995. They sold 45,000 units at the end of 1993. It was backwards compatible with its predecessor, the FM TOWNS, so it could play the computer games that came from that computer. It was released in Japan only, and it was 32 bits. That was the very first console to use floppy disk. It has some really good games for this system: Afterburner, Alone in the Dark 1 and 2, Bomberman, Fatal Fury Special, Indiana Jones and the Fate of the Atlantis, The Last Crusade, Gundam Hyper Classic Operation Desert, Muscle Bomber Body Explosion, which is also known as Saturday Night Slam Masters, Prince of Persia 1 and 2, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is the predecessor to the Dynasty Warriors series, and Super Street Fighter 2. So those were the games that sold the most on this system. It also had a successor. In 1994, the TOWNS Marty 2 was released also. It had a faster CPU. Now, why did this system fail? Well, there's two reasons why it failed: because it was only released in Japan and Japan only. It was not released in Europe and the US, so it never had a chance to grow. And on top of that, just like the Neo Geo, it was sold for a very high price, $700 for the first TOWNS Marty. That is ridiculous. The fact that they expect people to spend that much money for one system. The hell, it would have failed in the US anyways, because nobody's going to spend that much money unless you're rich. And the TOWNS Marty 2 was $670, which wasn't that much better, so I can see why the system failed. They even had their own navigational system, the TOWNS Car Marty, which was able to play the games and was like a GPS. And you could play it at home too. The bottom line is, if they had sent it to the US and Europe and they lowered the price, the system probably would have done a hell of a lot better than selling just 40,000 units. It had a lot of great games that I would have enjoyed playing for it, and that's why the TOWNS Marty had potential. Is it worth it? This game called Genji, Days of Blade. It was a game that was released November 11, 2006 for the PS3, and it borrows from the history of Japan as you take control of Yoshitsune and Benkei as they must do battle to restore the Heishi army. The pros to this game is that the controls are easy, so you could just pick up the game and play it. It reminds me of Onimusha a lot, so that's a big plus right there. The graphics are great to look at, especially for a game that came out in 2006, very early in the PlayStation 3's lifespan. The negatives to this game is that the game is very short. A lot of the battles are redundant. You just fight the same monsters over and over again. And the story is inconsistent, as some of the elements from Japanese history are incorrect and inconsistent. Is this game worth it? I would give it a shot. You might beat it in a couple of hours, and when you do that, you take it back or you never play it again. It's one of those types of games like you try it, you beat it, and then that's it. You don't play it no more. The game is worth it if you enjoy hack and slash type games and you go through and just destroy enemies over and over again and level up, because it does have RPG elements to the game as well. So the game is worth it. 2 thumbs up. Let's talk about the PlayStation VR. I'm going to give you the specs on this device. It uses 2 different screens for both of your eyes, both the OLED screen and a LCD screen. It uses stereoscopic 3D, and it uses the PlayStation camera to track your head movements. I've heard this all before with the Nintendo Virtual Boy, and that shit flopped. And in the last show I told you guys that they were going to bundle it with this new PlayStation 4 Neo. I told you guys that was the only reason why the system was going to be made, so they could throw all this shit at us. Remember when they first came out with the PlayStation Move? And they started bundling that with all the PlayStation 3s and all that stuff like that. And the camera, even Microsoft is guilty of that shit. Remember the Kinect, when that came out and they started bundling it with the Xbox 360s? If you want the PlayStation VR, you're going to have to pay $400 for this device. $400. Congratulations, Sony. You have graduated from the Apple course of cheating the people. $400? Are you guys out of your minds? It's bad enough that the PS4 cost a hell of a lot of money too. Now you want people to pay $400 for this thing? They're probably not even going to use that much. You guys are crazy. If you want to play this and you really want it that bad, by all means, go and get it. I'm not buying that shit because I don't want stuff strapped to my head like that anyways. And pretty soon you're going to be seeing people complaining about headaches and dizzy spells and even seizures, because think about the Virtual Boy and what that was doing. Anime otakus, it's that time again. I'm sorry there is no Dragon Ball Super review this week because there was no episode. That will continue next week. So let's move on to the anime of the week. The anime of the week is an anime called Sayuki. Brought to us from Japan April 4, 2000 and it ran until March 27, 2001. The story follows three anti-heroes, a monk named Genji Sanzo, and a half-demon named Sha Gojio, and a monkey king named, ironically, Son Goku. I'm not joking with y'all, his name is Son Goku, and he is a monkey king. Similarities much? Yes, it is. Anyways, they've been sent out by the Sun Boshushin to India to stop the resurrection of the Ox King, which is another similarity to the Dragon Ball series. Along the way, they fight a lot of formidable assassins and their own tragic past. This anime has a lot of humor in it, so if you enjoy anime for the laughs, you will definitely get a kick out of this anime. It also has a lot of kick-ass fight scenes, so if you enjoy that, there is your cup of tea right there. I recommend this anime, it's definitely great. Check it out. I have another idea for a concept here. Remember a couple of episodes back I talked about how cool it would be if The Undertaker had his own anime? Well, I thought of another guy who would be perfect for anime as well. How cool would it be if the man called Sting, I like to call him that because I don't want to confuse him with the whack-ass singer, Sting the wrestler. How cool would it be if he had his own anime? Now that he's pretty much retired, this gives him another idea. So if he ever comes across this and listens to my podcast, here's an idea for you, Sting. I could see something along the lines of a mix between Spawn and Batman. You could have Sting come from the underworld as a crime-fighting detective. I think that would kick ass, seriously. Let me know what y'all think. There are two different live-action movies that I want to talk about. One I'm excited for and the other I am not. So I'm going to talk about the one that I'm not excited for. There is a live Bleach movie that's going to be coming out. This is one of my all-time favorite animes. The reason why I'm not excited is the same reason why I wasn't excited for the live-action Ghost in the Shell movie that's supposed to be coming out. You know, the one with Scarlett Johansson playing Major Motoko Kusanagi? You know, a white woman playing a Japanese chick. Nice going, Hollywood. This is going to be made over here with us, the good old US of A. Warner Brothers is taking on the project. I do not want to see this. I do not want these guys to make a Bleach movie. Yes, they did great with the horror movies and the Mortal Kombat games as well, because NetherRealms and Warner Brothers worked together to make the newest Mortal Kombat games, Mortal Kombat 9 and Mortal Kombat 10. But I don't want to see any American company get their hands on an anime like Bleach. No disrespect, but again, I talked about this before. They can't get shit right. Remember Double Dragon? That was a video game and an anime. They had a white guy and a Hawaiian guy playing two Chinese American twin brothers. They couldn't get that right. The Super Mario Brothers movie, the only thing that they did get right is that they were plumbers. Remember Mario, my last name is Mario also, and his name is Luigi Mario. Who the fuck came up with that? You know, they can't get this shit right. I don't want to see them butcher this. I've already talked about it before. I'm not going to go down that whole rant again. But I don't trust it. That means that we're going to get a bunch of actors that are out now playing in this movie. And that sucks ass. I don't want to see Ben Affleck as Ichigo Kurosaki. I think that would make me physically ill. Seriously. Only two things can happen here. Either they cancel this project or they better make this movie great. Warner Brothers better go above and beyond to please us anime fans because they don't want that kind of backlash. There's nothing worse than nerd backlash. You know what I'm saying? And the other live action movie is Rurouni Kenshin, The Legend Ends. There are 3 of these Rurouni Kenshin live action movies. The license was taken over by Funimation Films and they were released already. Rurouni Kenshin Origins was already released August 8th through the 10th. You had Rurouni Kenshin Kyoto Inferno. That was released September 12th and 14th. I've got to get my hands on that one. And the newest one, Rurouni Kenshin The Legend Ends, will be shown October 3rd through the 5th. They will be released in the movies in the Japanese language with English subtitles. And wouldn't you know it, they have Japanese actors in there. What a concept, right? It was actually made in Japan. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're better than us. It's just that I'm the type of guy that if I'm going to have a video game movie, I would have the people who made the video game make the movie because they created it. If I was going to have a wrestling movie, I would have someone who wrestles, who actually knows what professional wrestling is about, to make this movie instead of someone who never stepped inside a ring or never seen wrestling before. Do you get what I'm saying? And even the guy that directed Dragon Ball Evolution, he said he never seen Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, or any of the Dragon Ball series. That's why we got the bullshit that we got. And I'm the type of guy, like, if you're gonna make movies, especially with famous series like these, you need to watch it, read the manga, and know what the hell you're doing. And that's why I am perfectly fine with them in Japan making this movie, especially Funimation Films. These guys know what it's about. And I imagine the people that live in Japan have read and know about this. So I'm more comfortable with them making this Rurouni Kenshin Films. And that's it for episode 28 of my podcast show. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. If you like what you heard, you can check out my other 27 episodes on my channel, KC The Most. I also have a lot of top 10s that you would enjoy. Anything from my favorite Dragon Ball characters, least favorite Dragon Ball characters, favorite Mega Man Robot Masters. I have a lot of topic videos talking about real world problems, relationships, music, video games. There's something for everybody to enjoy. You can also check out Dragon Ball Debunked, which is a segment where I take fan theories about Dragon Ball and I give my opinion if I think it's true or not, or if I think it's bullshit. You can catch me on Twitter at MostKC, where you can send me tweets and let me know what you think of my videos. I have a Facebook page, KC The Most. I'm also on SoundCloud, Ken Copeland. You can find me there. I'm on Tumblr as well. So I'm everywhere. There are many different ways that you can listen to the show. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll check you out later. Peace.